All right, so the first round of the NFL draft is officially over. 9 trades set a record. A lot of wide receivers, 6 wide receivers taken in the first 20 picks. Let me first talk about the Packers. It's almost like they're taunting Aaron Rodgers. So first 20 picks, 6 wide receivers. That's a draft record. 2 major trades for wide receivers, and the Packers take 2 defensive players with the 22nd and the 28th pick. Now, I'm not saying they're bad defensive players, and they did have to let Zadarius Smith go to the Vikings, but I just don't see the juice with the Green Bay Packers. I thought there were 5 or 6 really nice wide receivers. I would have taken those 2 picks, moved up, and gotten a wide receiver. That's what I would have done. I think the game is changing. That's why there's so many wide receivers now moving around the league. I thought one of the best picks of the night was Tennessee moving up to get Trey Burks, a big kind of a Deebo Samuel clone at wide receiver. Green Bay could have really used that. When Mark Murphy, president of the Packers, about a month ago said Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a 3-year contract. He's got 3 one-year contracts. I don't think Aaron Rodgers' career ends in Green Bay. I think the Packers are frustrated, fit to be tied with sort of his off seasons, his public unhappiness, some of his passive-aggressive comments, and once again, they go on the defensive side. That's not winning Super Bowls. Tampa and the Rams, more firepower. So I kind of look at Green Bay, and I thought this was the draft to be aggressive. This was the draft to go get a playmaker. I mean, come on now. Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins, old and older. Alan Lazard, Amari Rodgers last year, the slot receiver from Clemson, is not a game breaker. He's a nice slot receiver. This is an organization that has a way of doing business, and I think it's driving Aaron Rodgers crazy, and then Aaron's driving the Packers crazy. There's no way he finishes this 3-year contract. You know he's watching this draft rolling his eyes. Generally speaking, it always feels like really well-run businesses are lucky. But, what do they say? Luck is the residue of hard work. The fact that the Baltimore Ravens got the best safety easily in the draft, Kyle Hamilton, in the 14th pick, and the best center easily in the draft, Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa, that is an unbelievable night for the Baltimore Ravens. 2 starters, best players at their position. This was supposedly a weak draft with the 14th and 25th pick. Now, they traded a wide receiver to Arizona. Lamar Jackson on Twitter didn't love it. But, my takeaway is, in terms of who got the most value, I think it's the Baltimore Ravens. It's not surprising. If you go back and look at their history, they got Lamar Jackson end of the first round. Okay? So Lamar Jackson's an NFL MVP at quarterback, and they got him near the end. So I thought the Packers sort of shocked me by going with 2 defensive players, and the Ravens did the best job. Now, something else you're seeing in the NFL, and I love this, is that there are younger general managers than ever, and they are hyper-aggressive. Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles. So they got very aggressive. They went to Tennessee and got A.J. Brown. And I think this is an important move by the Eagles, and I liked it. And I've said this many times, be aggressive. The Dodgers are aggressive. Right now, the Dodgers and the Mets have 2 of the best records in baseball. They were super aggressive this offseason. You can buy talent. Do it if possible. So they have Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have whiffed on a couple of wide receiver picks, and their takeaway is, listen, we got to find out this year if Jalen Hurts is the guy. So he got us to the playoffs and then was overwhelmed. They were one and done and got blown out. So next year's a stronger quarterback draft. So the Eagles go out. They went and got Hassan Reddick. That upgrades their pass rush. And now they go and get A.J. Brown. And what they're saying is, Jalen, we're going to give you a shot here. We're going to get you an over-the-top, big-time playmaker at wide receiver. And I just think that's the way to do it. I think when you have these receivers, and I'm kind of on the fence with Jalen Hurts, he's not a guy that really can make big plays with his arm down the field to this point. I don't think he's a terribly accurate thrower, over 25 yards. But he's productive. He's a playmaker. He can wiggle around. He got him into the playoffs. I like what Philadelphia did, and I like what Howie Roseman did, the general manager. Now, again, maybe he has to compensate for some really weak wide receiver picks in recent years. But, you can't sit around and pout. The NFC East, to me, is wide open, and Philadelphia is saying, Jordan Davis, interior line star, Georgia, over-the-top wide receiver. If you're an Eagles fan, you got to feel really good tonight. Because they had a couple of really good picks early, I'll give the New York Jets credit. Sauce Gardner, I thought, was the best player I saw in college football. So they went and got a lockdown corner for head coach Robert Saleh, defensive coach. I thought Garrett Wilson was the best wide receiver. He got better all 3 years at Ohio State. I thought he was the best wide receiver in the draft. They got him. So now they have Michael Carter, the running back, Elijah Moore last year, nice wide receiver. Now they have Garrett Wilson. So, what they're saying is, with their young quarterback, like the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, what they're saying is, with Zach Wilson, okay, we're going to figure out, by Thanksgiving, December, can our guy play? We're going to get him weapons. Later, they got Jermaine Johnson, the pass rusher. So Saleh got a lockdown corner and an excellent pass rusher. And they got Zach Wilson, another weapon. So I thought the Jets had a very good night. Now, not surprisingly, they had, when it was all said and done, 3 picks. We sort of figured in this draft some bad teams would do okay because they had a lot of picks. I've got to be honest with you. I'm starting to like what the Detroit Lions are doing. So they get lucky. Aidan Hutchinson, the Michigan kid, falls to them at number 2. So that's just a great PR day. You can see the Detroit Free Press. The Wolverine goes to the Lions. That's great. Great PR. I think he's as good as any college player. But then they go get and make a trade, and they get Jamison Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama. He's the kid that had an ACL, but the fastest receiver in the draft. So you start looking at Detroit now. Okay, Matt Stafford goes, and we think, oh boy. But they were 3-3 in their last 6 games. I saw them outplay the Ravens and the Rams. And now they have T.J. Hawkinson, tight end, excellent. DeAndre Swift, running back, excellent. They went and got DJ Chalk from the Jags, receiver. They drafted Amon St. Brown, excellent. Left tackle Penei Sewell, excellent. And now they go get the wide receiver from Alabama, Jamison Williams, burner. That's a lot to play with. That's pretty good. So now, I would imagine the rest of the draft, they concentrate on defense. But I look at the Detroit Lions, and I think to myself, this can get close to a 500 team. They got the tight end, the running back, a Super Bowl quarterback, very nice wide receiver group. Listen, when they hired a new GM, that was about the weakest wide receiver group in the NFL, may have been the weakest. DJ Chark, Amon St. Brown, tight end TJ Hawkinson, Jamison Williams. Tip of the cap to the Lions front office. That's a pretty good set. Plus, their left tackle, running back. That's not a great division. I'll say this again. Green Bay is now becoming incredibly reliant on Aaron Rodgers. They do not have a 1. I'd argue Green Bay does not have a 2 at wide receiver. I think one thing that sticks out to me with this draft is that when it's not a star-studded draft, where these players land matters. Let's take Kenny Pickett. I think he has a pretty low ceiling. But boy, Pittsburgh is the best possible place for Kenny Pickett. They've got their tight end, their receivers, running back. The O-line will be better this year. They drafted it last year. Great front seven. Nice back end with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Really strong coach. Excellent culture. I don't know how good Kenny Pickett's going to be, but in a strange way, Aaron Rodgers dropping in the draft got him behind Brett Favre for years, right? Benefit, stable organization. Kenny Pickett dropping, gets him to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think when you don't have star players, Chase Young goes to Washington. He was going to succeed anywhere, right? Rashawn Slater goes to the Chargers. That guy's going to succeed anywhere. But a guy like Kenny Pickett is not talented enough, in my opinion, to overcome chaos. So, Kenny Pickett is going to sit behind Trubisky or perhaps beat him out. He's got weapons. He's a pretty athletic kid. I just don't think he has a huge arm. The ball security issues are what they are. But when you don't have stars, where you land matters more. And I look at a lot of these players, and they landed in really good spots. I also thought Seattle, Atlanta, and Carolina. A lot of people thought all could draft Malik Willis, the quarterback from Liberty. But instead, Carolina went and got an offensive lineman, basically saying, we'll go with Sam Darnold. Let's set up the offensive line for next year's draft, where we probably get a quarterback. Atlanta goes out and gets Drake London, wide receiver. Calvin Ridley comes back in 2 years. Let's set it up for the quarterback we draft next year. Seattle, similarly. Charles Cross, they go get a tackle. So Carolina, Atlanta, Seattle. You'll think, do they get the quarterback? Instead, they're saying, listen, why reach? Let's upgrade wide receiver. Let's upgrade offensive line. We'll probably go get a quarterback in next year's draft. Now, all three could go get a Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo. Certainly possible. But I thought they were kind of telling you, listen, Malik Willis dropping, surprised? A little. I thought Pittsburgh would go after him. They got Kenny Pickett. But, man, he only played against 2 Division I teams and did not throw a touchdown in either game. So, the league is summarily telling you probably a late first, second round pick. I don't know if anybody had a bad draft. The Packers was perplexing. The New York Giants, though, Kayvon Thibodeaux, I already liked their defensive line. I didn't think that was an area of need. And then Evan Neal, the tackle, is a mountain, but he's got pretty slow feet. Now, I'm sure they'll both be fine players, but, if you were asking me, is there a team that had a couple of good picks and I can see one of them not working or being underwhelmed? Maybe the Giants. Listen, the classic big left tackle, Mikael Becton, hasn't really worked. The truth is with the Giants, Andrew Thomas, their left tackle, that's the one position on the offensive line they really like. So were you drafting Evan Neal for right tackle? That's a pretty good pick for a right tackle. Are you going to move him inside? Now, I'm not questioning whether the Giants needed offensive linemen. But if you were going to use that 7th pick for an offensive lineman, boy, I would have done everything I could have done to move down in the draft. The best center went to the Ravens at 25. Seattle at 9 got, to me, Charles Cross maybe as good as Evan Neal. That's the one team, and recent history would tell us it's possible, although they have a new GM. The Giants didn't crush the draft. That was interesting to me. Now, the Giants may have tried to move down, and nobody picked up the phone, but we had 9 trades in the first round. So we know there were a lot of GMs willing to pick up the phone and move up or down. So the Giants draft, I've got some questions. I thought it was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk soon.